Mesnevi 12. Joseph and the Mirror. Of course, Surah Yusuf in Al-Quran is the 12th of the Surah. The kings of yore a custom had, so I've been told. Of course, doubts heard it, must remember it of old. On their left hand, their champions took their usual place, because the heart is on the left, a body's space. Their chancellor and scribes stood on their right hand all, in that writer's art to the right hand doth fall. For their face, the holy teachers stood erect, the mirrors of the soul, then mirror more correct. Their breasts they polished with the axe of thought and praise, that mirror-like they catch each image, facts may raise. Each object born in nature with a lovely mien should always have a mirror set to catch its sheen. A beauteous face, enamored, is with mirror's glance. Heart's piety, the polish, best the soul could chance. A friend of tried sincerity came from afar, and guest became with trusty Joseph, free from bar. They had been friends before in childhood's artless days, had leant their elbows on one cushion in their ways. His brethren's envy and wrong dealings touched upon, said Joseph, 'twas a chain, it bound a lion non. Disgrace affects not lions, if with chains they're bound. With God's decree I quarrel not, it's always sound. A lion with the chain around his lordly neck is still the lord of them who forged the chain as check. A friend asked, how wert in the well the prison cast? Said Joseph, as the moon in wane and change at last. At change, the new moon's bent into a poor weak thing, but ripens to the full apace night's matchless king. Pearls in a mortar pounded are by chance sometimes, still they're esteemed a joy to glad eyes in all climes. Then grains of wheat are cast into the lowly earth, but golden ears thence spring, a source of glee and mirth. These two are ground to dust in mill, vile as to show, increased in value thence, bread it becomes, we know. Again 'tis crushed between the teeth to chime, it turns, and feeds the mind, the thoughts, the soul, and wisdom burns. The soul in turn is subject to the stress of love. New miracles as seen, the sower's marvel prove. But truce to these reflections let us follow now. The words of Joseph's friend, 'tis worth while these to know. That conversation's closed, said Joseph to his guest. What gift, my friend, hast brought in token of thy zest? To go with empty hands and visit friends long missed is like a man who goes to mill without his grist. And God will ask his creatures in the judgment day, what offerings have you brought to meet your maker? Say, alone and empty-handed? Is it thus you come, even as we first created you, gifts left at home? What have you brought as timely offerings in your hands? What are the gifts with which you grace your new life's plans? Or was it that you no belief in this return? Our promise of this day by you was laughed to scorn. If you denied thus hope to be my guest, then dust and ashes wait you in my realm at best. If you did not deny it, whence your empty hands? How come you to a friend's gate scorning just demands? Put by a little from thy daily meat and drink, so shalt thou have a store for offerings. Binding link, sleep little when thou art of those who lay them down. Of mornings be of them who ask for pardon's crown. Give signs of life, though slight as babes do in the womb, so may God grant thee inward light to cheer thy tomb. And when thou scapest from dark and narrow prison there, then mayest thou soar from earth beyond the realms of air. The spacious land of God 'tis named in holy writ, the land to which the prophets all have gladly flit. The heart is never lonesome in that vast abode. Its green trees never wither, frosts no leaves corrode. If now thou load thyself with sensual burdens weight, fatigued and jaded faint thou prove beneath their freight. In sleep thou bearest no burden, born thou art, instead fatigue is thence recruited, strength regains its head. Know then thy sleep a foretaste of what is to come, from rapt state of saints arriving in their home. The saints were well prefigured by the sleepers 7. Their sleep, their stretchings, their awaking lead to heaven, without the least exertion on their parts by acts. The right and left hand registers draw them by facts. The right hand registers the record of good deeds, the left hand register the list of fleshly greeds. But both of these abolished are in case of saints. To them such things are but as echo dies and faints. Though good and evil may their echoes round thee peal, the echoing mountain hears them not in the ordeal. Now Joseph once again inquired what offering bringest. His friend ashamed, a urgent pressing, sighed. Thou singest, said he, full many offerings have I sought and seen, but none was worthy of thee, or I much misween. How could I bring a diamond to its native mine, or add a drop of water to a sea of brine? Shall I to cushion cumin bring, whence it is drawn? By offering up my life and soul to beauty's fond, I know no rarity that's not surpassed by thee. Thy loveliness, the rarity men nowhere see. The fittest present then I found a mirror is, and this I brought unsullied, bright, effulgent 'tis. Therein thou contemplate thy beauteous, matchless face, as beaming as the sun that decorates sky's space. A mirror have I brought, thou charming, witching one. In it admire thyself, and think of me when gone. The mirror now he drew from underneath his skirt. A mirror is to beauty with attractions girt. In non-existence mirror, if existence gleams, present this mirror to it, thou as best esteems. In non-existence mirrored, being we may see, as wealthy men their wealth may show by beggars' glee. The hungry man's the mirror best shows what is bread, and tinder mirrors, flint and steel's gleam quickly spread. Wherever want, defect is seen, beauty's most prized. The mirror of perfections then best realized. If clothes grew ready cut and sewn to meet our needs, or it be the use of tailor's art to fashion weeds, the unhewn trunk is needed for the carver's skill, and carpenter to cut out thence his frames, his thill. The surgeon hastes to the couch where suffering lies, where limbs are broken, there his bandages he ties. Were there no patient malady, no fever ache, could art sublime the medical its marvels make. If tumbled brass and copper were not to be found, the alchemist's stone could not to gold transmute them round. Effect is thus the mirror whence perfection's seen, and vileness is the foul to show off grandeur's sheen. By contrast, does each opposite its fellow show. Sweet honey by sharp vinegar, we best can know. The man who sees and feels his infections sore exerts himself to cure them quickly all the more, and he'll never take his flight towards heaven's eternal King, who holds at heart the thoughts that he's a perfect thing. No worse disease to taunt the human mind than self-conceit that paints its owner gold refined. How many bitter tears has not the vein to shed, ere arrogance can be expelled and pride be dead? The malady of Satan, self-conceit, I'm best, exists in germ in every panting human breast. These fancy they have mortified themselves throughout. Take them to be pure streams, their filth seek in the grout. Just stir them up a little for a trial's sake. Thou see their mud discolor all the waters lake. There's ooze at bottom of the pond, be sure of that. However clear the surface of the dull, dead flat, our greatest teacher is endowed with fair device. He digs a conduit in the very soul of vice. How can he make the water of that conduit pure? All human wisdoms, but one spark from God's vast store. Does sword inflict a wound in its own handle blade? Find me a surgeon who shall cure a gash so made. Where a wound exists, the flies will ever flock amain, to hide its hideousness from sight and lull the pain. Those flies, the symbols are of man's vain, baseless thoughts. The wound they cover overs ignorance, high wrought, is only when the teacher salve applies with skill. The throes are quieted that shoot across man's will. He then imagines that his wound is healing fast. Effect this is of cunning use. That salve to cast, O man, whose back is galled, accept his salve with thanks. Thy solace thence arises, not from thy own pranks. Now, in Semitic language, the moon is he and the sun is she. And the Persian equivalent of our carrying totes to Newcastle is unsullied, bright, refulgent. Tis okay. Whence it is drawn. Oh, whence it is drawn. Okay. Saying with that, a metallic mirror formerly much used. Well, sort of Islamic Buddhism. Is that what we're talking about here? Al-Quran, Surah 48, 29, 6, 94, 51, 17, 51, 18, 4, 8, 99, 18, 8 through 21, 69, 19, 69, 25, and 7, 11.